Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Peatbreaker, and in today's video I want to discuss how to get the most FPS out of your system whilst playing Battlefield Hardline. First of all, let me talk about some things that you have to change in Windows, and then let's talk about the things or the settings that you should change in-game. So let's hop onto Windows real quick. Now, first of all, you want to head to Computer, your C drive, go to Program x86, go to Origin Games, and your Battlefield Hardline beta folder. Now here you want to create a new text file, and let's call this one user.cfg, and let's open it up with another notepad editor, this one here. Now the values that I'm going to be putting in here, I'm going to be putting into the description below, so you can basically just copy paste them, or I'm just gonna basically put a download link down there, so you can just download this file. Now the first entry in this file is just gonna fix your FPS to a value that you've given in here. And in my case, I've got 120 Hz monitors, so I want to have at least 120 frames, but if I've got more than that, I can't really benefit of those, so I just log it at 120. You can basically just keep it there or put it to whatever refresh rate your monitor is, or just delete it entirely. It's kind of a personal preference, this one, that is. Now the next one is just going to show you the FPS in the top right corner, just to see if the user config file has actually been loaded in. After you've seen that it's working, you can basically just delete this line. Now all the other entries in here are some graphical options that you can give the game, and most of them you can't actually change in-game. That's why we are making this user config file here, and they just kind of make the game a little bit sharper, make the game run a little bit better, give you kind of some more FPS out of the game, and kind of disable the less useful effects of the game. Like there's some motion blur stuff here which you really don't want that the game gives you when you're suppressed. Now this file we're going to save under all types, and we're going to call it user.cfg. We're going to save it, and there we go. Now next up you want to head to another folder. Basically you want to go to your documents, go to BFH point beta. Here you click on settings and save profile. Now this file only exists once you've already actually played the game, so if it's not here, you have to first load in the game, and then this file should appear. Now let's open this up with an editor as well, and down here we're going to change some stuff that affects our mouse sensitivity. Now check these out: scheme 0, 1, and 2 sensitivity. Those once you've actually played the game, are usually set at 1. And you do want to make sure that those are set to 0, because what they basically do is give you an additional mouse acceleration on top of your raw mouse input. I'm not quite sure why they're doing it, but if you feel like your mouse is not really unaccelerated, if you've checked the raw mouse input in-game, which I'm going to be talking about in just a second, and you still feel that the game is feeling kind of accelerated, then check out these values and put into 0. They should definitely help you with your gameplay, and yeah, that should be good. Now, I won't really talk about the normal graphical settings in-game. I will talk about some more advanced features that you can change, and the other settings you can basically just copy-paste. For me, I get around 120 frames, and that's what I want with my 120 Hz monitor. But other than that, I'm going to be talking about some more gameplay-related graphical settings. Alright, let's jump into the game and see what we can change there. First up, make sure to have raw mouse input enabled, as this is going to give you 0 acceleration on top of your mouse input. Next up, you want to make sure to have the network smoothing factor all the way down to 0. This is just going to make the whole gameplay experience feel snappier and tighter. Also, make sure to have speaker type to war tapes under the audio tab, since this is going to give you the best positional audio in-game possible. Next up, we want to be taking a look at mesh quality. Now, as you can see right here, these trash bins kind of pop in whenever I ADS, and the culprit for that is the mesh quality. If I set this one to ultra, you can see all the objects are rendered in until the furthest distance that the game allows me to render in objects. Now, if I change it back to low, for example, if I ADS, you can see these objects render in. And you definitely don't want this to be the case, since not only trash bins are just randomly going to render in, but also players. This is a really important tip, and this will definitely help you improve your gameplay since you can spot enemy players quicker. Next up, we're going to be taking a look at field of view scaling in ADS. This neat little option here basically just binds the field of view ADS to your field of view that you've chosen in-game. Now, as you can see right here, the ADS zoom in is not very significant. If you compare it to BF3, the zoom in ADS was way higher. As you can see right here, if I disable this option, it's actually going to give me a higher magnification. This is because if this option is disabled, the magnification is always going to be the same. It's always going to be 1.4 times from like 70 or 60 field of view, whereas when you change this back, it's just going to be from the field of view that you've chosen. Now let's take a look at field of views of 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, and 120. Now here again you can see me zooming in, and of course it kind of looks a little bit weird with the field of view set at 120, but I guess you can see and understand what the field of view scaling in ADS is all about. Next up, let's talk about the blurry sniper scopes. Now basically the same fix or workaround that worked for Battlefield 4 still works in Battlefield Hardline. Basically all you need to do is change your texture quality. So when you've got this blurry weird ass scope and you can't hit shit, just go to your settings and see what they're set at. So as you can see, my texture quality right now were on medium. Now you want to make sure to have them on high or ultra, since only high and ultra settings are give you the sharp scope. Basically you're going to have to restart the game each time you change some of the texture quality, but as you can see right here, after restarting the game, my scope is nice and sharp and jolly and good. This is the scope how it's actually supposed to be, and as you can see in the picture comparison in a second, right here is the blurry scope, and here we've got the scope with high or ultra texture quality settings. Alright guys, last but not least, let's take a look how you can improve your gameplay by having as many keys assigned to your mouse as possible. Basically for me, I have select gadget 2 on scroll wheel down and select gadget 1 on scroll wheel up. Now basically what this allows me to do is whenever I'm in combat, I can just run around, scroll wheel down when I'm a medic and revive that guy. Or like here, I can just scroll wheel down and equip my grappling hook. Now this is definitely going to help you out in combat, since when you're in a hectic situation, you can just scroll wheel down, you don't have to like look for the 3 or 4 keys on your keyboard and revive a guy or toss down some med packs or something like that. Now also I've got toggle primary weapon on my thumb mouse button, and the same applies to change seat in vehicle, and I've got zoom minimap on my middle mouse button. So basically whenever I'm like running around or something, I don't have to look for the N key, but can just click on the scroll wheel and the map is going to zoom in or zoom out. Or whenever I run out of ammo with my primary weapon, I can just simply push the thumb button and I got my pistol equipped. So those are pretty much all the tips that I can give you in setting up your game correctly. Those are the things that you want to have for higher FPS. Of course, I cannot guarantee you that all of these settings are going to give you higher FPS, but I really hope that this video kind of helped you out in getting better performance and also in having a better gameplay, in just being better in Battlefield Hardline. Now, most of these tips I've actually learned in playing Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 3, so they're actually not new tips, but for those of you who are new to the game or new to the franchise, they could definitely be of help. Now next up I'm going to be doing a video about some in-game mechanics and about some tips and tricks that I can give you in there, like flanking maneuvers, how long it takes to revive a guy, etc, etc. But that was it for today's video guys, I hope you enjoyed it, and if you could leave a rating that would be very much appreciated, but have a good one, and until the next one, cheers!